Our next session is a live interview with Barroux. And we're very grateful for Barroux for coming, because he didn't get here till very late last night, and then he had an adventure with me on the metro in Lisbon. But he is still alive, and he's here this morning to be with us. And so he and David will settle themselves into the sofas, and we're going to have a very nice, relaxed interview atmosphere. To hold it, either Barroux or David. You've got yours. Just want to check
Is it a bit tricky?
Does that work? Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah? Okay.
Yeah?
Good.
Okay.
And if you have any problems with English, Naya is right there in front of you, and she can feed in some keywords.
Help.
Okay, everyone, so moving on to our next session, a little bit of a different format, focusing on questions and explorations. So I'm really delighted to introduce another picture book creator who is represented in our ICEPELL picture book canon, or some might like to call it an anti-canon. So I'm having this conversation with Barroux today about picture books. And in this interactive question-answer session, Barroux will share some excerpts from his sketchbooks and some entertaining stories about the origins of his ideas and his creative process. Barroux was born in Paris and raised in Morocco, and has a passion for travel and exploring other cultures. It is no surprise that he approaches each new book he is illustrating as if it's the beginning of an adventure. Barroux publishes in French and English and has created over 40 picture books as author-illustrator and illustrated many, many more. He strives to create unusual artwork and tries to surprise the child that's inside him. Despite all of the countries and faraway lands he's explored, Barroux still believes that life in books where dogs can fly and trees are blue is more extraordinary. Okay, I'm going to sit. So I'd like to start then with this picture book, Welcome. And Welcome was a picture book that three of the teacher educators on the course, so myself, Sonia and Anna, co-created a kit around for use in our training course. And it's one of my personal favorite picture books. So the first question we have for you then is, can you talk a little bit about how and why you created Welcome?
Wow. Hello, everyone. Yeah, wow. Okay. I started a long time ago when I was 28. I'm starting to be an illustrator, and I decided to write my own story. And maybe 15 years ago, I was invited in Edinburgh for the Edinburgh Book Festival, and I meet someone who wants to represent me in the UK, and she asked me to come to take the train to London and to come with some ideas in my backpack. And during a day, she will ask some UK publisher.
So 3 fingers.
Okay.
That's instructions from George.
Okay.
Instructions from George.
Could it be 4? And so I came to London with some ideas, and during the day, a lot of publishers came and they were looking at my ideas. And the first one, one publisher fall in love, with this one. Where's the Elephant? It's a book about deforestation. It's a kind of... Oh, you just... Yeah. And this book you have to find an elephant, a parrot, and a snake, but it's tricky. You concentrate to find the animals in the pages, but something happens. So it's not a hide-and-seek book, it's about deforestation. And this book was such a success, they asked me to do another one, so I did another one, and they asked me for a third one. And the third one was this one, Welcome. The publisher in London asked me to do something about migrants, and I was like, okay, are you sure you want to do a book about it? And when I take back the train, I found an idea. It wasn't. It was an idea that I have 2 years ago. I was working on something about how to say that in English. Oui, c'était plus un projet sur le réchauffement climatique, climate changes. Yeah. And when she asked me to find an idea about migrants, since 2 years I was thinking about climate changes, and I have this bear in my head. And when I come back in the train, everything was like just in line, and I write the story in the train. But, is it? When I write it, who what? I could talk without mic.
No, it's recorded.
Yeah. Okay. And when I write this story, who knows this story? Wow! Hey! Wow! Do you want a secret? I write this story with 1 polar bear and 4 penguins. That you could be an English publisher. They told me, okay, you couldn't have penguins and a polar bear. I said, yes, I know, but they are playing badminton. And they said, yes, but for the foreign rights, it's complicated. So they asked me to change, to take off the penguin. And but it was sad for me. Do you know why? Because of these pictures. This picture. Because when it was 1 polar bear and 4 penguins, without saying anything, after this page, you have 1 polar bear and 4 penguins, and without saying anything, you turn the page and you have 1 polar bear and just 3 penguins. And I didn't say anything, and when the kids were looking at my sketches, they didn't notice, after maybe 3 or 4 pages, and they came back to say, oh, thing. And I found it was a good, it was interesting in this story. So when they asked me to take off the penguin and put 3 polar bears, if you take 1 polar bear off, everyone will notice and say. And it was strange because kids didn't care about penguins. They know that there is a lot. So if one is missing, they don't care. But if 1 polar bear is missing, they are crying. It's crazy. And the second things that it was complicated for me. When you draw 3 polar bears, I said how I could make them different. So I tried on my sketches. I did one a little bit fat. I did another one a little bit like very skinny, and a small one. And when I draw that, I show it to some kids and they said, "Oh, it's mom, dad, and the son." I said, "No." So I take off this, and I did Yeah, it's strange sometimes. So that's why I deal all of them presque pareil, nearly the same. Just I need the scarf because here I want to say help with the scarf, but that's all. So I take off the penguin. I was sad, but I was really happy because this book was such a success. You can find it in Dutch, in Turkish, in Italian, in Spanish, you will find it in a lot of countries. So even the Chinese bought the rights. So I think they didn't read the story, but they bought the rights. I shouldn't say that.
That's an interesting point about translations, and we've got a question for you about translations. So are you consulted, or do you liaise with the translators?
Just one more thing.
Okay.
When I did this one, it was a success. They asked me to do another one. I did another one. They asked me to do Welcome. It was the third one, and I did another one after that. But they put me dans une boîte, in a box, and they always asking me the same kind of book. So after 4 books, I said, not anymore, because they are asking me always to draw the same kind of thing, and I was like in a cage, and you can't create when you are in a cage. You just want to go away. So, and I think when you work a lot with one publisher, it's like a love story. At the beginning, you know, like it's like crazy. You did 1, you did 2, and after 4, you said, okay, maybe we should go on their own side. And that's true. We should take time off, and maybe I will come back.
Okay, so about the translations then. When your picture books are translated into all these different languages that you mentioned, do you get consulted about how the translations will be? Do they liaise with you on the text for translation or not?
No, not for this kind of book. It's strange because sometimes I got an idea. It could be when I heard Nicola, she said the text comes first. It depends. Sometimes it could be an idea, it could be a word, it could be, I will show you in my notebook, but I'm drawing a lot of mouses in my notebook. I don't know why. Maybe because I got some in my house. But I draw a lot of mouses, and I love the way I draw them, so I was thinking to do a story about it. So sometimes it comes from a drawing, or a word, or une phrase, a sentence, that stay in your mind, and you don't know why, but this sentence grows, and you put some word in it, and once you write it in your notebook, and you have a story. Okay, what is the question? Okay, yeah. So sometimes, yeah. Sometimes I write in French, and the publishers sold the rights in different countries, and they didn't ask me. They didn't ask me if I don't speak Korean, so when they bought the rights, they do their own translation. But the strange thing is when I write in English, when I found a publisher in the UK, and when a French publisher bought the rights and didn't know that Barroux is French, so they asked someone to translate the book. And when I went to some school, I found my book, and I said, oh, I'm going to read it to you. And I read it in French, and it's strange because it's my story, it's my word, but it's not the way I will write it in French if I have to write it. Usually it's more literary. Yeah, because they are paid for, you know, so they put some if I have to write it in for kids, I will be more, you know, it will be punchy or more right to the point, and yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, yesterday in Francesca Sanna's amazing talk, she talked about her background, which was really, really interesting, and she mentioned her architectural studies and the move from architecture to picture book creation. And so how did you move yourself from architectural studies to graphism and picture books?
Thank you. No, it's just but I did an art school very young. When I was 15, I was I did this art school, and I was passionate with architecture. I'm married with an architect, so. But I think maybe it's for me, and I did 1 year in a architecture art school, but I was too arty. My walls was like that, and my house didn't. So I say maybe it's not for me. So I did another art school and more in illustration. But I'm still passionate with architecture, and that's it.
Okay. Okay, it was also interesting for us to find out that you've illustrated some of Michael Mapogo's books. And can you tell us a little about that process of collaborating with an author as illustrator?
Yeah, I like to work with some other author. But for Michael, it's different because do you want the complete story, the long one, or the short version? Okay, the long version is everything that I will say is true, okay? I was walking in the street in Paris, and I saw two big guys putting things in a big, not a garbage, but big thing. They put some old paper from a cave, old paper from a cellar, old paper, and so I said to them, "Oh, I'm an illustrator. I did paper cut. Can I jump in the?" They said yes. I jump it, and I was selected some old paper, but in the middle of that mess, I found a cardboard box, and inside it, I found a treasure. No, it was a real treasure. It was a medal and an old children's notebook full of writing in it from the First World War. It was a diary from August, September, and October, just 3 months. And after that, I don't have any name. I just have a diary. So he said, today I have to be strong. I have to leave my family. I have to go there. But I know I will be back for Christmas. We will. And after that, it's very hard and difficult to read because it was very small. Okay, so I found this, and I decided to do. I'm an illustrator. I said maybe I could do a graphic novel with that. I know that I'm a children's book illustrator, so I tried, and I did a graphic novel called, in France, it's On les aura. In English, it's called Line of Fire. And when the English, in the UK, when they bought the rights, they call it Line of Fire. And the publisher sent me an email and said, I know Michael Morpurgo is okay to do a preface.
A preface, yeah.
I don't know who is Michael Morpurgo, but when they sent me a PDF with the cover, his name was as big as me. So I said, are you sure? And I Googled his name, and he's really famous in the UK. Yeah, he worked with Spielberg. He did a book called War Horse. And so I said yes. So he did the preface. The book was doing really good in the UK. And 2 years after that, I do a second book, a second graphic novel for adults called Alpha Abidjan Gare du Nord, which is Alpha is the name of a guy who leave Abidjan to come to Paris illegally by walk. And when Michael heard about it, because we work with the same translation girl in the UK, he said, maybe I could do a preface again. And he did it. And he helped the book with the newspaper in the UK, and we got a lot of press, and it was a success. So after this book was coming out in the UK, he called me, he sent me an email. He said, oh, I will come to Paris. Do you want to have dinner with me? And I said, yes. So when I know that Michael will come to Paris, I said, okay, I did 2 graphic novels. He did the preface. Maybe he could be interested to write me something, to do another graphic novel. So I work on some subject. And I came for the dinner with all my list in my head, and I was just sitting down, and he said, okay, Barroux, I have an idea. It's my uncle. He was a secret agent, and after that, I said, wow, Michael, it's a good idea. So I forgot all my ideas. And yeah, his uncle was a secret agent during the Second World War, and he was a teacher. He was teaching geography in the UK, and he was a pacifist. So when the Second World War came, he said, I don't want to have a weapon. So he was, how do you say that? Il est passé en cours martial. Yeah, yeah. And they said, okay, you don't want to. So he went in south of England to do gardening. But his brother was in the RAF, and his plane was crashed in the sea, and he died. And at that point, he took. It's a long story, but Michael wrote it, and he asked me not to do a graphic novel, but to do a book with some images in it. So I did it. That's why we worked together with Michael.
Okay. And linked to that then, which process do you prefer? Being the total picture book creator, so author and illustrator, or illustrator only, and why?
I don't care. No, because it could be, you know, sometimes a publisher call me and said, Barroux, we have an idea, we have someone send us a text, we thought about you, are you interested? And usually I said yes, because if I'm still working just on my own text, I'm going to be like a flower, and you know, I will be always working with myself, looking at myself and reading my own text, and I will become crazy. So I like to have some other people who write text for me, or sometimes I have ideas and I don't have time to write it, so I call some friend of mine who are authors, and I said, oh, do you have time to take a coffee? Yes, I have an idea for you, and I give them the idea. And 3 months after that, they came back with a good story.
Oh, great.
So there is different way to work.
Okay. And speaking of difference then, why do different versions of Welcome have different coloured covers?
Wow. I don't know. Because it's not my job, it's the publisher's job. In Turkish, they will have a blue background. I don't know. It's strange because you work 1 year, not 1 year because I'm fast, but I work on this book during 3 months. After that, you give the original artwork to the publisher. After that, it takes 6 months to do the graphic things around the book, you know, to put the type and when it comes out, it's 1 year, sometimes and a half. But I'm still working on some different books. So for me, it's some old stuff, and you have to keep the couper le cordon. How do you say that for a baby? You know, to cut the
cord.
Yeah. After that, you have to grow by himself. You know, and so it's strange to talk about it after all this time, because for me it's some old stuff. I'm still. When you are an illustrator or an author, you have. It's like when you play chess, you need to have some des coups en avance. I would say that. I'm tired. You have to think ahead. Yeah, because you have to pay your rent.
Absolutely. And a big question many of us were wondering is, which is your favorite picture book?
Welcome, for sure. No, I have a lot of books that I love. Most of them, I have just 1 or 2 that I hate.
Right.
I won't tell you which one I hate because I did it for a wrong reason. As I said, you have to pay your rent. So sometimes a publisher calls you and said, Barroux, I have a good idea, a good text for you. I think about you for this text. And when you received it on your computer, you said, wow, why does he think about me for this text? I don't like it. And you look at your account number at the bank and said, oh, I think this text is very interesting. And I did it twice I did more than 100 books in my career, and I did twice, and I won't do it again.
Okay.
And the next point, when you say that you hate this book or this book, I was on the book fair, I was doing signature, and I have all my books over around me, and the audience, the public, came and said, oh, I want this one, I want this one. And the woman who writes the text that I love so much said, oh, Barroux, because sometimes we didn't meet when the publisher, face to face, because the publisher do the mediation, you know. And she said, wow, that's the most beautiful book that I have ever have in my career. So I didn't say that for me it was the worst. So and even when you go to some schools, sometimes the teacher works on this book with some kids, so you are not going to say, oh, I won't talk about this book because I hate it. So, but you have to be careful, yeah, because after that you have it in your bibliography. Portfolio? Not portfolio, in your... I don't have any portfolio, I'm too famous, come on. No. No, you have it in your... bibliography, yeah. You have to live with that.
Okay, well, I think we're ready now to see your sketches.
Oh, yeah.
To learn more about the process.
So, I don't know how the other illustrator works, but oh, this is a sad story. Yeah, you don't know why, but this is a sad story. It's about migrants. And this is just the beginning of the story. After that, I write it, and I did some very beautiful sketches. And I show it to 2 big publishers in Paris, French publisher, and they didn't know, but they said the same thing, and you have to be, no, I'm very serious, you have to be, vous devez faire attention tous ici.
Be careful.
You have to be careful all of us, because the two publishers says to me, the kids have 2 years with COVID, and now it's the Third World War. They want books with happiness. I said, okay, you want me to draw unicorn and cats and rabbit? No, I'm very serious, because when I heard Nicola, the woman at the beginning, I tried to do books like that. I did a lot of books about deforestation, about ecology, and I did Welcome, and I did Hello. I like to I did a book about Alzheimer for kids called My Grandpa is Vanishing? Disappear. Mm-hmm. So I did books like that. I know that it's not going to be a success, but they exist. And when I came with this story, a sad story about migrants, because 27 of them died in the same boat in the two publishers said that to me. You all know that the paper and the cupboard get increased, you know. So in France, they are doing less and less books, but they want something about happiness. And I don't know what does it mean, you know. So I'm very preoccupied, because in those years that are coming, you will have a lot of cats and unicorn and Peppa Pig and ugly things like this, you know. So in this notebook, I do things that I saw. I did things when I. This is during a big meeting, and it was a boring meeting, so I did. This is the cover for Italian publisher asked me if I want. They bought my books in France, yep. But they on Instagram they contact me and they ask me if they have a good story, if I could work with them. I said yes. So this is the beginning of this is the cover. I did some drawings at the cafe, or this is. I like this. It's for a small animation. I want to do 3 minutes, you know, in animation. It's a story of a bird. The title is Quiet and Peaceful. It's a bird. He came to a pond, and he starts to sleep, and a frog comes out and said "Croa," and hundreds of frogs comes and said "Croa, croa, croa." So he fly away and say, "Oh, never quiet and peaceful." So he fly away. He found a tree. He starts sleeping, and a small bird comes out and said, "Tweet, tweet, tweet, tweet," and 100 of them comes out. So he fly away and he say, "Wow, never quiet and peaceful." And he found a land, so he started sleeping, and it was like, and there is a rabbit coming out from a stone. We take his suitcase and move away and say, "Never quiet and peaceful." Yeah. I don't find any publisher for this one, so yeah. Do you know why? Because they said it's a book without words. When I did it in for the publishing, three fingers. When I meet some publisher, they said that there is no words and it's complicated to sell books with no words because the parents didn't know what to say. So, yeah. No, that's real. Why are they going to put 15 euros in a book without words, you know? I know. But that's word that I heard from publishers, you know. So I decided, I think I said it could be a good animation cartoon. So I did. So you have things that I did. I did drawings for Instagram to feed the beast. Oh, this is interesting. It's a poster for young readers in France. It's called Lire avec les tout petits, read with the small ones. Yeah. And they choose, I told you I draw some mouses that I like. And they choose, which one did they choose? Oh, they choose this one. Yeah. So this is the sketches. So after that, in my office, I did it for real. I don't use the computer. I did all my illustration and all my books with paper cut or acrylic and like an old dinosaur. This is also posters for book fair in France. I like this one. Oh, this is an interesting story. I did a story about, I did a love story about a small fisherman and a big whale. It's called I Love You Blue. And the little fisherman falls in love with this big whale with blue eyes. And one day he said, "Oh, I will see you tomorrow." And he came and she is not here. So he's scared. He looked out deep in the ocean and she was down there and feeling sick. So he jumped, he go in her bottom and he said, "Blue, you should wear glasses because tu confonds. You are confused between plastic bags and jellyfish." And his bottom was full of jellyfish. And it's a story about saving whales. And I don't know why, it's a success. So they asked me to do another one. And here you have the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pages, 7, 8, and I'm stuck. I need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 more pages, but I need to feed my brain because I don't have the ending of the story. But it's okay. It's still in my brain, and I will find it very soon, I think. I like this one. Look at that. No, it's on this. No? What do you think? I should write a story for this mouse. She's so funny. So, usually I didn't show it because it's more like behind the scene. You can see that I have some piece of words. So usually I keep it for me.
Well, thank you very much for sharing that. I think we're ready for some questions now from our audience here and also our virtual audience. So if you could type your questions in Mentimeter.
Are you all sleeping? No? Do you have any question?
Okay.
Wow.
Okay, so the first question then, do you consider yourself strictly a technician illustrator, or do you also relate well to the art of educating? That's a huge question.
Can we have another one? No, that's interesting because Do you want me to be honest?
Yes, please.
I don't care about the end of this question. I'm more like a creator. I don't think what the people will think about what I'm going to... Yeah, because if you think about that, usually when I meet teachers in France, they said, wow, you think about us when you write this story? I said, yes, for sure. But to be honest, no. I think of me being a kid, or I think of me having a problem when I was a kid, and how I will have an idea to write this story. I want to say that you could find a lot of books in bookshops and everywhere, but you have all the Unicode things and Peppa Pigs and things like that. But if you have a problem with the deaf, with the migrants, with some kids are not eating, or you will find a book on it. You just have to ask les documentalistes ou les booksellers. They know, and they will give you some cue and some books about these different themes.
Okay, what would you do for a living if you were not an illustrator?
I will be sad. No, when I was young, I don't know. When I was young, I always said I want to be, no, not a football player. How do you say, an aventurier? Indiana Jones, I want to be Indiana Jones. But I'm a kind of, because here I'm in Lisbon, I'm invited in Toronto, I was in Shanghai. So now with my books, I could travel a lot. And when I'm invited, I stay 1 more week and I do sketchbooks. And I publish my sketchbooks sometimes, but it's always related to drawings or writings. I'm teaching also for young illustrators. Between 20 to 25, and they want to become illustrators, so who offers. So I was teaching during 10 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. Can you talk about your role as an illustrator in the book Hello?
Hello, it was a kind of command, no? An order, yeah, it was a kind of order. This publisher send me the text, and I liked the text, and they asked me if I want to draw the illustration, and I said yes. That's it. I did my job, and I tried to do it well. So, but I don't know if I could say that, but we are working on a second one. Hello was the counting book of kindness, and we are doing right now, but maybe it's secret. So we are working on the counting book of green. The counting book of green.
Green.
Yeah. After the kindness, green.
So watch out for that one, everybody. Okay, so is the picture book with mice going to happen? You talked a lot about the mice. Are you going to create a picture book with mice or about mice?
Yeah, I will do it because I like the way I draw them, so I have to find a story.
Yeah.
And if you know a way to eradicate my mouses that I got in my house, I'm interested.
Okay. Have you had this passion for drawing animals for many years?
I don't know. I don't have any passion for animals. It could be anything for kids. But do you know why the UK publisher asked me to do the book with polar bear? You don't know? Because a polar bear is not a girl or a boy. It's not gender. Yeah, not binary or no, it's not binary. It's not a boy or a girl.
Yeah.
So you sell more books. If the main character is an animal, it could be a Chinese one, it could be in Poland, or it's a bear. So if you draw kids, it's going to be a boy or a girl. It's going to be white or black or Chinese. Or so you have to draw him. And when you see it on the cover, your message is not lost, but if you put a polar bear, your message will be seen by more people. And that's why I think it's such a success with Welcome. It's because it's like very... When I've been to Istanbul with the Turkish version, they said, wow, it's so us, it's our story with the Syrian coming out the border, and you can go to, I don't know, in the US, and said, oh, we saw the Mexican guy and the polar bear.
Yeah.
But it's for that.
Okay, another one then. Would you visit schools in Portugal? It would be wonderful to have you in our schools inspiring our children.
Thank you. I should learn how to speak Portuguese.
Are you going to create a story on your underground adventure with Sandy yesterday?
Maybe. We should. I did a book in France about subway. Because when you are a kid, when you take the subway for the first time, it's something underground with people that sometimes they sing in the, in the subway.
Yes.
They sometimes, so it's a strange world. So I did a book, and it was not a success. But it was full of poetry, and I like books when it's like something very contemporary and with some poetry in it.
Yeah. Okay, what kind of drawings do you prefer? Travel, adults, children?
I think I can't answer this question because I like all of them. As a teacher, when I'm working with my student in illustration, some of them knows how to draw only for kids between 8 to 9. Okay, and only with the left hand in black and white, and so it's so specific. It's difficult to have a career. But if I'm still here after 25 years, maybe it's because I can do all of them: travel book, adults with graphic novel, children's book. I did also poetry. I'm doing also. I'm on stage with a musician, drawing live with a camera, and you see my hand, and it's a 1-hour show on the book on the First World War. So we have to find some other ways to use illustration. It could be a lot of things. I could do a book for a small baby between 0 to 3. I did for adults. I did some poetry books. I did some erotic illustration. So sometimes in my office, during the morning, I'm working on a children's book. On the afternoon, I'm working on a graphic novel. Right now, I'm working on a graphic novel on the First World War about a guy who was selected to, how to say that? Sometimes during the First World War, they go fighting, and when they came back, not the general, but the guy said, you're not put enough effort. I will select 3 of you, and you are going to die tomorrow. Oh. And executed, because to make an example, a sample, to make an example. Yeah. And I know an old woman, his dad was selected to get shot in the morning, but during the night he survived because he not run away, but he found a way to escape. Yeah. And when she told me that, I'm writing his story. I just have the beginning, and he will go through France during the First World War to go to pass the Pyrenees and to go to Spain to survive. And he will survive, and he will have my friend. So I'm writing this story, and I'm doing the 15 first black and white images, and after that it's the holidays, and in September I will take some appointment with some publishers. But when I came with my first graphic novel to see some publishing house, they said, "Go back to your office. You are a children's book illustrator. Don't come to us. We are a lot of people doing cartoons and graphic novels. So it's like in music. When you play the pop music, you want to do a rap music, and when you go rap, you say, oh, stay in your..." It's very difficult in France. I don't know if it's the same in your country, but when you want to change from your box to another box, everyone says, no, don't come. So you have to fight. It took me six graphic novels to be accepted in the graphic novel community in France and adult parts.
Okay.
So it's
all right. We've got an interesting question here. Can you tell us about your experience on the jury in the famous Bologna Book Fair?
Yes, it was crazy because we received 3,800 pictures from 93 countries. So the first round, it was the end of the COVID. So the first round, it was in front of our computer. We have to select 300 illustrators from 3,000. So it was very difficult. And after that, we were invited in Bologna for real, and they locked down. Ils nous ont enfermés. They locked up us? No.
Locked you in?
Ils nous ont tous enfermés. How do you say that? Yeah, with the different member of the jury, and during 3 days we put the selection from 300 to 94, I think. So yeah, it was interesting because there is some Japanese in the jury, one for Portugal, and yeah, it was strange to discuss about what we should keep or not. Sometimes we fight, but at the end we are proud. For me, it was a way to show some other illustrators that there are some very creative ways to do illustration. So
it sounds like a very intercultural experience, and I think that's what our teachers on our project have been learning about creative ways to teach English. So there's some interesting parallels there. Thank you so much for this conversation, and it's been fascinating. Thank you very much.